Hi everyone, blessed be. I wanted to show you today how I made this little wood spirit to go on my altar. So first of all, this is a piece of wood from a tree where I had to chop the top off the tree in my garden. It was getting too big and was going to start causing problems, so I needed to chop the top off so it was still manageable and then just reshape the tree. So I haven't chopped the tree down completely, I've just shortened it. And this little piece of wood came from the piece that I cut off, and as soon as I saw this piece of wood I was like, I want to carve something in that. I just thought it was the perfect size and shape. So what I did was I kept it inside, just in like the outhouse, and let it dry out completely. That took, I think I left it in there for about a month or two just to make sure it was all nice and dry. And then I started off by carving out the rough shape of the figure, and it was one of them where I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I just started carving and to see where it went, and this little figure appeared, so I went with it. And I wanted to create this sort of like this wise old figure, and I started off by using my craft knife and stuff, and then once I got the basic shape of what I wanted, I started to refine the shape using my Dremel. And there's like a couple of little ends on the Dremel that you can use on wood. This one's like a sort of engraver type end, but it is for wood. So I use that to define all the line work and to shape it a bit better, and also to smooth things off a bit. And yeah, so as you can see here, what I'm doing is I'm smoothing off the grooves that I cut. I didn't film the entire process because this took me ages. I mean, you're talking, this probably took me about an hour, if not longer. So what I've done is included the main parts, because this is not really a tutorial because I've never carved anything, so I don't know, I couldn't explain it if I tried. So what I've done here is I'm now using my wood burning tool to add texture and colour to the figure. So here I'm focusing on the beard and adding a beard type texture to the beard part, and then I'll do the same for the moustache part as well. And this is just to add some texture, to add some colour, because this will look darker even when I've used a wood stain over the top and varnished and stuff. So this was just to add some extra detail. And at first I was just going to do the details with the wood burner, and then after that maybe just put some wax on or something, but I decided to go for a slightly darker look. So here I'm just pressing the tool into the wood. It's nice and hot now, because when I first started it wasn't fully heated up. And here I'm just adding little bits of detail, like these little dashes and marks. And if you're wondering as well, yes, I had a full-on mask on and everything, and the room was well ventilated. Make sure if you do something like this that you do have some sort of respirator or something on, because it does obviously smell of burning wood, and obviously if you're sensitive to things, like if it affects your chest or whatever, like your breathing, then you're going to want to protect yourself. And I would anyway, because breathing in burning wood's obviously not going to be ideal. So I did have my respirator on, and I had my windows open and everything, and my fans on, so just to make sure my lungs were safe. And as you can see, I'm holding it on in certain places for a little bit longer to make the lines darker, going over quickly in some areas to make lighter lines, and then just changing the position of the wood burning tool. I've used this end, which is normally used to like I think you use it to put like flower patterns in wood when you're wood burning. not ideal, but it's the only one I could find. I don't know what I've done with the other ends. I've put them somewhere safe, so they're in a drawer somewhere. I just don't know which one. So that's why I'm using slightly the wrong tool for this task, but never mind. I kind of like the very fine point on this anyway, because you can get some really good details with it. So it worked out in the end. It just means every so often I have to press a bit harder one way just to make sure it's tightened, because this one does come loose a little bit, but it is only a cheap wood burning kit that I've picked up years ago. So as you can see, the details are starting to show up a bit more. So now I'm going around the shape of the figure. I want to make all those recesses nice and dark, and it'll just make the whole like carving stand out. I suppose I could have worked more to try and get the nose to stick out a bit more, but like I said, I've never carved anything, so how they get noses to look nice in 3D and stuff when people carve, I don't know, because it's kind of like working backwards from drawing, isn't it? You start sort of like at the high points and work your way to the lower points, but yeah, it boggles my mind. But yeah, I'm glad I managed to use this piece of wood. I feel like that the piece of tree that I cut off hasn't completely gone to waste, and it would just be nice to have this little reminder on my altar space. I like wood and things made from wood, and while I wouldn't chop a tree down to like purposefully make something, if a tree has to be cut, I do like to try and use what I can of it so it doesn't go to waste, so it's not for nothing. So yeah, here I'm working on the lines, and you'll see in a bit I jump to when I add the stain and varnish. I forgot to also mention that I carved some runes into the back. I did some protection runes. One rune was for protection, and one rune I've done for good health. Decided to add those onto the back, just to give a little bit more meaning to the piece to me. I just felt that's what was needed, and as you can see, what I did was I just lightly carved those in place and then went over with the wood burning tool. So this first one I'm putting on is a bind rune for protection, and the second one's a bind rune for health, and I'm just adding those to the back. Then I took this stain and varnish and just watered it down and applied it with a brush all over the piece. This will seal the wood and help to preserve it, and also gives it this nice colour, because I wasn't mad keen on the really super pale colour. I wanted it to look darker, a bit more like a wood colour as it were. And as you can see, going over the area where the bind runes are, any areas where I've done the wood burning do stand out quite nicely, even with the dark sort of wood and varnish and stain that I'm putting over the top. Later on I'll probably put some wax or something on the over the piece. I don't have anything like that on me at the moment because I don't normally do anything like working with wood, but I'll probably get some wax, some beeswax or something to seal this later on, but the varnish and stain will do the job anyway. I just want to sort of do something to give it a bit more protection, although I don't particularly mind if wooden pieces crack or change over time, but I do want to protect it though, to make sure it doesn't get any bugs or anything trying to eat it. And what I'm doing is I'm using the varnish stuff very watered down and just applying thin coats until I'm happy with the colour. I found going over the bottom it you couldn't see my signature very well, but I went over the signature again to make it darker afterwards. And I made sure I sealed in the top nice as well, so no damp can get in. And then I applied the varnish to the little figure, just using it very watered down. And originally I was going to leave the face the brighter wood colour, but I accidentally went over it, as you can see. So I decided to just use the stain all over the whole piece. And I like the colour it came out as. And what I did is, anywhere where I didn't want it to be too dark, once I'd applied the stain and varnish, I just took a cloth, just a baby wipe and some kitchen roll, and just dabbed any areas where I didn't want too much of a build-up of the wood varnish, just to make it so I could keep some of those areas a little bit lighter. And I like the sort of almost yellowy colour that the beard came out as. I think it adds a nice variation in colour. And I just repeated that process until I was happy with it. And then, to make sure the piece was dry afterwards, I did use my hot air gun just very lightly to go over the whole thing, just to make sure the surface was dry. And then what I'll do is I'll leave this for a few days to thoroughly dry out, and then I'll put some sort of wax or polish over the top, give it a little bit of a shine, and also to help protect it. And yeah, that's how I made a little wood spirit to go on my altar space. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Blessed be, and bye for now.